honorable members, I'm always appreciating to have colleagues like your good selves. We've got a lot of work in this department. It's broad and bigger. Our slot, you know, we've given Tuesday, but due to work that is ahead of us, we do ask permission of some. This is the other. I don't want to take all who are here. I know that everyone has got so many things to do, but first and foremost, as members, we need to honor our slots days. I'm welcoming you all, honorable members, all our guests, our department. Let me take this time that the department, it's here, the Afrikaans Taal, they are here, assuming the William Humphrey Art Gallery, I'm assuming that they are here. If they can, we can introduce ourselves in order that when we're coming to the apologies, we know who is here or who's not here. I'm doing that introduction, and then I want apologies because we're all here and we need that. If the department does have apologies, our visitors, if they do have apologies, I'm giving you that time now. I'm assuming that DDG, we are here, or anyone from the department who can give us.
Thank you.
Yes, DDG.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether it's introductions as well, Chairperson, of who is here from the department. Just apologies.
You can do that and give us the apologies.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe let me take this opportunity and greet the minister and greet yourself, Chairperson, all the honorable members of the committee. I know here, Chairperson, that I need to greet the Deputy Chair of the Afrikaans Taal Museum, who is leading the delegation, given the fact that the chair is going to be joining late, Ms. Bongi Letsoledi, and also the chair of the William Humphrey Art Gallery, Mr. Popo Masilo, just to indicate that we are being led by our minister in this meeting, and we also have the advisor to the minister, Mr. Tiamzashe. We have Mr. Ali Bibi, who is in the office of the DG, Mr. Tsanyane, who is dealing with public entities oversight, Mr. Watani, also from the ministry, Ms. Bongi Ramalepe, who is also in the DG's office, and of course myself, Chairperson Vusi Ndima. Mr. Nkanunu also is here. Then DDGCS, Corporate Services, Ms. Mandisa Chikwatamba is going to be joining later, Chair. I would like to stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have apology for Deputy Minister?
Good morning, Chairperson.
Okay.
Yes, Jabu.
Yes, Chair, we've received an apology from the Deputy Minister. She will not be attending this meeting, Chair, as she has a long-standing engagement that she could not get out of today, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. Can we get to the Deputy Chairperson of Afrikaans Taal Monument or Museum?
Good morning, Chairperson.
Ah.
Good morning, Minister. And also good morning to all the honorable members present in the Portfolio Committee. Chairperson, my name is Bongis Kuledi. I'm the Deputy Chairperson of Afrikaans Taal Museum. Let me also apologize for the Chairperson who will join us a little bit later this morning. Chairperson, with me, there are council members that are present. Others will be joining a little bit later. I can see that there's Mr. Munsami is already in, who is a council member. And also we have our director of the museum, Mr. Jonas, present here. Chair, thank you very much. I will introduce the others as they come in. Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity as the Taal Museum to come and present in front of the Portfolio Committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy. It's nice to see you again back in this Parliament with another cap. Appreciating you to be part of this family, which you know. Thank you so much. We strike a woman, we strike a rock. Let me go to the second visitor of ourselves. Can you address us? William Humphrey Art Gallery.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to all the honorable Portfolio Committee members present in this meeting. I also extend my word of appreciation to the presence of the Minister, Minister Mteto, under which our entity reports to. My name is Popo Masido, Honorable Chairperson. I am the delegated chairperson of the William Humphrey Art Gallery. Present from the council today, I have about 3 members. I think 2 members will be able to join the meeting late, as they did tender an apology. May I also tender an apology on behalf of our director, Ms. Nelly Mkize, who could not make it as a result of a medical emergency that arose at home. Apparently, her child suffered something that appears like a seizure. From management side, Ms. Martha Mafalo, who's the CFO, will be representing the director, but I'm also here to make any deliberations on the presentation that we are going to make on behalf of the entity. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Masilo. Do we have any apology from the committee members? Jabu, do you have any apologies?
No apologies from the committee members, Chair. I haven't received anything. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, I'm putting to you the apologies that we must accept the apologies.
Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Adams.
Good morning, Chairperson. Chairperson, I move for the adoption of the apologies. I thank you.
Thank you. No one is saying anything. The apologies, Honorable Sibia.
Thanks, Chairperson. I am seconding the adoption of the apologies.
Thank you so much, honorable members. Honorable members, let's now take this opportunity to give our in the agenda our department to give us the overview of the Afrikaans Taal Museum. I would urge to everyone who's going to give a presentation or a briefing that we do appreciate that you forwarded your input in time, so can somebody read what it is. But if it's a shorter version, we don't have any problem. But if it's a longer presentation, you can talk to it. I'm giving to our department now to present their overview for the Afrikaans Taal Museum and Monument. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, members of the committee, our Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, and also the chairpersons of the two institutions. I will just switch off the video. I just wanted to show the chairperson that as a patriot, as a good patriot, I'm wearing
Friday.
Yes, thank you. Let me now switch off.
I'm a culprit today. There are reasons. My apology. Thank you so much, DG.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to be doing an overview of the Afrikaans Taal Museum and Monument, which of course is one of our entities that derive its mandate from the Cultural Institutions Act. And of course, it's very important that we highlight what this institution is responsible for. It is responsible for maintaining the ATMs, cultural historical buildings and heritage sites, and the heritage of Afrikaans in such a manner that nation building and social cohesion will be achieved. It also collects and conserves, conduct research and portray through exhibitions the origin, the development, benefit and expansion of Afrikaans, with a special focus on inclusiveness to address historical imbalances. It also promotes and stimulates Afrikaans nationwide at all levels of society, especially in disadvantaged communities, by means of lectures and publications, educational programs, guided tours, and cultural activities. As you have correctly indicated, Chairperson, in your opening remarks, I really did not go to every detail, but if you look at the non-financial performance, we can see there over the last 3 years how the institution has performed. In 2022-2023, it has been able to achieve, or maybe starting with 2021-2022, it was able to achieve 89% of its targets, and then during the first quarter, it was able to achieve 87%. And of course, those that were not achieved are stated there. And then going to financial allocations, we can see that the allocation this year, it's 11 million. And from the infrastructure point of view, they have got 5.9 million as the money allocated to the infrastructure of the institution. Then the audit outcome, I'm glad to report, Chairperson, that this institution really has been doing very well. And you can see progressively they've been getting, they've been doing, in fact, they've been qualified audit, and the jump from qualified audit to unqualified audit, it's no small feat, because you would have thought that maybe they will go through the unqualified with matters of emphasis, but they were just able to jump that quantum leap to the unqualified and clean audit. Now, there's a composition of the board there, which has been clearly outlined, and you can see that the board is relatively well representative without necessarily going through each and every person who is there. And then oversight activities by the council, we can see that the council, the number of council members, there have been 9, which I think it's what the Cultural Institution Act demands. And then of course the meetings, the number of council meetings, There have been 4, which I think in terms of the Act, that is what is permissible, or that was what allowed, because people can have even more than 4. But I think that they have stuck to the number of other committee meetings. You can see those are a bit more because, of course, they would have to prepare for council meetings. The attendance rate over years, you can see that it's been well from 90 to 94, 2021, 2022. This year, there is a bit of a decline because you can see it's 78%. Amount spent on remuneration of council. Also, we can see that it's spread over 3 years, and in the first quarter, they've been able to spend 76,899. Number of audit risk committee meetings, they've had 1 this year. Management meetings, they've 1 also in the first quarter. And the staff meetings, there's been 1 staff meeting. Governance engagements, the site visit by the department, there was 1 on the 22nd of September. The CFO forum, it's planned for the 26th of October, 2022, the CFO's forum, and then the CEO's forum, it's planned for November 2022, and the Chairperson's forum, where Minister meets with the Chairperson of institutions, it's planned for March 2023. And then the composition of executive management, I wouldn't really want to spend time there. The document is there, Minister. It shows who the director is and who is the CFO. And then there is also that slide that deals with the composition of staff, which also it's well outlined there. And there is also breakdown in terms of gender as well as race. Maybe challenges that we need to bring to the attention of the council. The challenges that have been just outlined is the need for repairs and maintenance of the ATM infrastructure and buildings. So interventions, utilization of the DZEC grant funding on the following planned capital works projects, the upgrading of the current security camera infrastructure, upgrading the electrical infrastructure, installation of an emergency generator, and maintenance of the building. These are the interventions that will be made to ensure that we are able to assist the institution on its infrastructure maintenance. I would want to stop there. That was the overview, Chairperson, from the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable DG. Can now give it to the Afrikaans Taal Monument to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Honorable Minister. Good morning, Honorable Portfolio Committee members present, ITM Council members present, the Deputy Chair present. Can we please share my presentation, please?
Okay, Jabu, please assist.
We've given the director the sharing rights, Chair, to share the presentation.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now I need to just. Okay, now I need to. Chandra. Okay, share. Okay, just let me see.
We've made Chandra the co-host as well.
Okay, Chandra, can you please share the?
Okay, well, we are sorting that. I've forgotten to tell that I'm suspecting everyone who's here would love that our minister must be with us because he has got another engagement. If everyone can make it that we must have an engagement in all of your presentation, and then during the responses, even if maybe our minister want to have words, if we can talk to our presentations, because you did send them in time. I thank you.
Okay. Chandra, can we please, thank you, Chair. Chandra, can we please move to slideshow and slide 3, please? Oh, so basically, who are we? The Afrikaans Taal Museum and Monument is a national monument, museum and monument established in terms of the Cultural Institution Act. We're also a Schedule 3A public entity in terms of the Public Finance Management Act. And our theme is to portray the establishment and development of Afrikaans. Okay, you can move on, Chandra. Okay, so that's our museum. It's a double-story Georgian house that was constructed in 1875. The floor, the ground floor, is a reconstruction of the interior when one of the founding members of the Genootskap of Regte Afrikaners lived in the house. And the top section is used for interactive displays, which basically deals and covers the different contributions and dialects of Afrikaans. Thank you, Sondre. We have a monument, and the monument is located on 101 hectares of indigenous land. And the monument in itself, the symbolism portrays the different contributions of Afrikaans. Afrikaans is one of the youngest languages, and it developed over 3 continents, namely Europe, the East, and Africa. Thank you, Sondre. We also do have an amphitheater on the slopes of Paarl Mountain, which have seating for 4,200 patrons. Okay. The ATM is governed by a non-executive council of independent members appointed by the minister for a term of 3 years. And it's managed by a full management team. We also endeavor to build relations individually and collectively on a multicultural and multilingual basis that gives impetus and direction to social cohesion and nation building. So as a museum, our core functions are to collect, to document, to conserve, exhibit, educate, and research. And the research is disseminated through educational programs, public programs, and outreach programs. So the museum consists of the ATM consists of a museum, monument, and an amphitheater. The museum was inaugurated on the 14th of August 1975, 100 years after the establishment of the Genootskap of Regte Afrikaners, and the museum and the monument on the 10th of October 1975, 50 years after Afrikaans became an official language next to Dutch and English in 1925. We were declared a public entity on the 10th of July 1977 and was transferred to the then National Department of Education. So basically, yeah, so council will set strategic objectives and management will be responsible for the implementation of the strategies for and objectives for the MTEF year. And of course, well, the MTEF short-term, long-term 5 years, the strategic plan. So our vision is to expand it into a dynamic and inclusive institution that promotes the linguistic diversity of Afrikaans within the context of a multicultural society. And well, I'm just going to touch on the mission because the DDG, the acting the DG already dealt with the mandate and so forth. But what is important for us is that we need to create an environment in which different Afrikaans role players and agents interact with each other to achieve social cohesion. And of course, number 4, reach out to other indigenous language communities and entities through educational programs. Because we are of the opinion that the future of Afrikaans is in Africa amongst Africans. And number 5 is very important. We basically deconstructed the narrative that Afrikaans is the language of the oppressor. But Afrikaans is in a unique position because it's also the language of the oppressed. And to your right, we have a travel exhibition where we acknowledge those who were involved in the building process from 1972 up until 1975 with the monument. And we gave them permits along with their families for the freedom of the monument, because the monument in itself became a multicultural, multilingual site of interaction. And that's important that we also need to promote mutual respect and tolerance between members of the Afrikaans community, because the Afrikaans community, according to the stats of South Africa, the residential stats for 2018 is the most racial diverse languages of all indigenous languages. We have 10 million first language speakers and 10 million second language speakers. So the institution positioned itself to play a role in nation building, and of course to promote mutual respect between the different language communities. And of course, we pride ourselves in good governance. Okay, Chandra. So in terms of our values, I'm not going to run through all of it, but as I alluded, it's important that the ATM strives for the well-being of Afrikaans in the South African society. In this spirit, we wish to encourage and support Afrikaans, especially amongst the youth, non-mother tongue speakers. We constantly endeavor to establish mutual respect between Afrikaans and other indigenous languages by, among other, acknowledging and mutual influences of the languages on each other. To your right, the image on to your right, just go back. That is Arabic Afrikaans. It's a Coppoles book. It's basically religious instructions. It's also called, in Malay, it's called Surat. And of course, that's the first form of written Afrikaans that dates back to 1860, long before the establishment of the Genootskap of Regter Afrikaans. So earliest forms of Afrikaans originated in the Muslim community in the Boerkaap. And that is part of the narrative where we focus on the shared origins of Afrikaans. Okay, the DGG covered a lot of these values. Thank you, Chandra. Okay, DG also alluded to the fact, one of our greatest concerns is financial stability. And of course, we're not able to host visitors and big groups due to the lack of infrastructure. Our infrastructure dates back to 1975 and doesn't suit the needs, the existing needs of the entity. Since, for instance, the Georgian house where the museum is located, we only permitted to allow 15 persons at a time due to unstable floor. Then we have lots of issues around structural damage, not just to the monument, but also to the museum, and inadequate ablution facilities. Because prior to COVID, we received anything between 64,000 and 80,000 visitors to the monument. And of course, another great concern is the lack of facility with people with special needs. And the electrical infrastructure, of course, also needs to get some attention. And we also have limited storage facilities, especially for archival and curatorial processes. And one of the challenges is, of course, security. We're sitting with 101 hectares of indigenous vegetation on the slopes of Paarl Mountain, where the monument and amphitheater is located. And we have lots of vagrants. We have theft from cars during when we host events. So therefore, we need to have a closed circuit television system in place and the upgrading of the existing security systems and so forth. And we hope to enter a maintenance agreement with the department and of course, Department of Public Works. And we were very fortunate to have the whole team of Public Works and of course, Ms. Pam and the team here yesterday. A great concern is of course, the paying of our local municipality accounts or services. The risk is that we could be disconnected anytime because we do not have access, because we're not the owner of the site. We're not allowed to inquire the amount due per month. So we rely on the effectiveness of payment from the Department of Public Works. But we could suffer reputational damage if it doesn't pay and the services. Because what's important is, of course, is to note that the monument is off the grid. We have our own dam, we have our own pump house. If there's no electricity, we're not able to supply water to staff, to visitors, or the ablution facilities. So it's of great importance that we have a sufficient electric supply and the electrical and water service is paid for. Okay. Just on the note of, so we have informative and positive media coverage, and we have extended our social media footprint. We have 23,000 internet followers. We have over 260,000 views per annum. And as a form of self-generating, we host events. We have full moon picnics, stargazing picnic, music concerts. We also do courses where we get a service provider in with that consists over the necessary skills and expertise, like photographic writing skills and book repair courses. And then the site is a sought after site when it comes to local and international commercial shoots for weddings, lifestyle, and also film shoots. Over the past financial year, we had visitors from Canada, from New York, America, United States of America. So we become, and that's a huge source of income for the public entity. We also host small conferences in our conference venue at the monument, and of course the rental of the amphitheater for music concerts, bike races, private fundraisers, and so forth. And Mr. Ndima did cover that. The department will assist us in improving our facilities by those interventions. So the questions around, what did we accomplish and not accomplish in the 21-22 financial year? Okay, but due to COVID-19, we weren't able in the previous financial year to host any form of full moon picnics, concerts, and so forth. But due to the lessening of restrictions, we were able to host full moon picnics, concert writers, functions, and skill development courses. And of course, stargazing picnics. Okay. In the absence of physical contact, we provided offline visitors with virtual tours of the museum and the monument, and we also reinstated in February 2022 our educational, when we were able and permitted by the Department of Western Cape Education Department to host and present educational programs. Various public programs could be in person, like the Women's Day celebration, Slave commemoration, and the Reconciliation Day. But we were able to celebrate and commemorate Nelson Mandela Day, and we chose one of the rural multi-graded schools around the Heuvel in the Wellington area. where we provided food and stationery to the kids. In terms of our targets, I'm just going to quickly run through this, because here we can see, in the 2019-2020, we had 64,000 visitors. With COVID, it dropped down to 16,000. But we can gladly state, that there's a increase of 36,000 in the 21-22 financial year. And just a note, so the visitors went down with 48% from 2019 to So the visitors went down with 48% when compared to 2019-2020, but increased when compared to 2021-2022, 2020-2021. Okay. So yeah, the HR plan for food training. So we achieved our targets for the performance evaluation of the biannual performance evaluation of our staff, and we also coordinated and managed training per annum to all our staff members. We achieved and completed all our maintenance done per annum and work plan, and we also completed and achieved our targets for eco-management of the monument, which included fire break, invasive clearing of invasive trees and so forth. In terms of fundraising, due to COVID-19 and of course the extended restrictions, we weren't able to achieve that particular target of a fundraising event. That fundraising event is a night run and a fun walk we do during December, but due to the restrictions, we weren't able to perform that. But we actually overachieved in the 2021-22 on the skills development courses per annum, which that includes, of course, the writing courses, book repair, photographic courses, and so forth. Okay, the number of special days due to COVID-19, it was a bit down, but in 2021 we picked up to 6 again. And sponsor bus, we achieved that target too. And then pertaining to the preservation of our artifacts, documents, and the books for the future, we achieved all our targets and even exceeded. That's part of the collections management, we do that. Dissemination of information. The number of articles, we wrote 3 articles and presented lectures in the 21-22 financial year. And the rest was also achieved or overachieved. Okay, and we had 5 exhibitions or displays, which include temporary exhibitions that was held in the Green Gallery. The school groups, if we just look at the top line, in 2019, we received 129 groups. In the following year, 0. But we be back after reinstating it in February 2021, we received 51 groups. And we also pride ourselves in developing curriculum-related programs which serves as an extension of the classroom. And that we also achieved. And then the latest introduction under education is, of course, our e-classroom. Okay. A statement of financial performance. So for the 2020-2021, we had a deficit of 155,000, but we can gladly report for the 2021-2022 financial year, there is a 2.1 million surplus, largely due to the capital works savings. The ATM receives most of its funding by means of subsidy allocated from the National Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and that constitutes 85%. We also, the ATM has a very sympathetic community. And for the last financial year, we received over 380,000 in donations. And of course, that is employed, of course, to sponsor buses and assist where underprivileged communities can't reach the museum. And of course, to provide some sort of food during the visit of those learners. And of course, our entrance fees is also a great source of income. Okay, Chandra, ga jy nou oorvat asseblief? Chandra is our financial officer. Our CFO, Tanya Lang, apologize, she's on study leave. Thank you, Chandra.
Good morning, Honourable Minister and Chair and Honourable Members. I'll just have a quick overview on the financial highlights. So the expenditure we incurred was over 14 million. That was also to capital works that had to be done. And the total expenses are made out of 48% of fixed costs on personnel and 52% on operational expenditure. If we look at the statement of financial position, you will see that the most changes occurred with current assets, net assets, and the current liabilities. This is in slide 38. It's just showing the changes that occurred in 2021 and 2022. Here's a more in-depth explanation. If you look at the property, plants and equipment, that increase from nearly 1.8 million was to the replacement of the irrigation system at the Taal Monument. And the heritage asset was also reevaluated, which amounted to about 128,000 increase in that. And then intangible assets increased due to purchases for new computer hardware for staff members. If you look on slide 40, the current assets, the major or most significant change was with the receivables from non-exchange transactions that decreased from 500,000 to a zero. But this was due to the ATM withdrawing their participation in the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program due to the delay in receiving funding for the program. And then there was capital works funds received, which was invested. So investments increased because the money wasn't spent at year end. If you look at slide 41, we didn't have non-current liabilities for the financial year of 2021 and 2022. Our current liabilities, the trade and other payables decreased. And on slide 42, the current liabilities, it also increased because of our unspent grants, because of the capital works that wasn't spent. So our unspent grants increased in that financial year because of the capital works. And then, so that is the financial highlights. If we move on to slide 43, the audit opinion, as Mr. Jonas stated, that we received an unqualified audit opinion for the financial year of 2021-22, and also a clean audit report. The Auditor General also commended that the ATM had not made any significant changes to the financial statements that was handed in on the 31 of May 2022. 2022. And then I will give over to Mr. Jonas to do the prospects for 2022 and 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
Baie dankie, Sandre. Yeah. Yeah, due to COVID-19, we had to adjust our performance targets due to restrictions in movement. But of course, international visitors are still significantly less than pre-COVID. But in terms of our prospects for 2021-23, you know, we're looking forward to the development of a maintenance plan in collaboration with the Department of Public Works and the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. We also envisage that we will complete the planning phase and go on tender for the building of the workers' change rooms at the monument, installation of emergency generator at the monument, and upgrading of the drain ditches at the amphitheater parking area. Okay. Infrastructure development continues, so we're also looking at the upgrading of the current infrastructure, which dates back to 1975, installation of CCTV cameras, and of course, very important, invasive species control plan for the 101 hectares, and the upgrading of the telephone system for the ATA. Okay. Concerning public programs, events, courses, and workshops, you know, we will continue with our popular events such as the full moon picnics and Afrikaans Taal. That's our fundraising marathon that we have in December, the evening race. And we also would like to improve on our concert experiences, because currently, you know, all the surrounding wine estates are all doing moonlight picnics or musical concerts. So we need to be innovative and move to the next level to provide business experiences that differs from our competition and so forth. And we'll continue to enhance skill development by presenting book repair, book binding, record keeping, and writing courses. We also do have an annual Arabic Afrikaans workshop, and that's part of the language revitalization of especially Afrikaans and Arabic dialect. We'd also like to expand our public programs, programs on commemorative and national days. What's important is, of course, we will continue to establish the Taal Monument as a destination by improving our services, our grants, and activities. And of course, we believe that our site is structured for walking trails, for mountain bike, downhill tracks, and so forth. You know, so we need to maintain those, and that could serve as an extra income, a form of extra income. We also need to improve our garden theatre, make sure that it complies to the health and safety regulations. And establishing the Taal Museum as a destination, we increase visitor experiences by offering more activities to different target communities, present educational lectures to schools and other groups, expansion of offerings on e-classroom, and invite public to research the reading room by making available primary sources and documents. The collection, photographs and descriptions of the artifacts and documents of the museums are entered into electronic catalog on an ongoing basis to ensure preservation of the records and to promote easy retrieval of information. Artifacts and documents which will enhance the collection are sourced and acquired. Artifacts, documents and books requiring conservation or repairs are done by qualified conservators in the different fields on the basis of priority and in line with the budget. The textile collection is inspected quarterly by our own staff, and annual inspection, cleaning, and repairs are carried out by a qualified textile conservator. Research. Research documents for exhibitions. All the research required to put together an exhibition is done as needed. Project generated independently, driven mainly by inquiry from the public or research. And of course, the results of these research are disseminated to the wider publics by means of educational programs, events published on our website and so forth. Okay, and in our exhibitions, of course, we covered various subject or themes, including the fauna and flora, geology, indigenous knowledge systems, and so forth. For our educational programs, we concentrate on International Day of Monuments and Sites in April, International Museum Day in May, World Environmental Day, Language Day in August, and our National Arbor Day. And of course, very, very important in February, International Mother Tongue Day, Water Day, and of course, our language projects. All the profits we make from the picnics, music concerts, and so forth is spent on our language projects now. Let Us Read is to inculcate a love for reading. And what we will normally do is we also set up reading corners at various libraries or community centers. And we have 2 language competitions per year for school, for students and for school-going learners. Well, Chair, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity to brief the Portfolio Committee and members present.
Chairperson, please unmute, Chair.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me thank the leadership led by the one and only one deputy. And now I'm suspecting that this is the time for the questions, because members, you did read, but it's a courtesy that the presentation, we need that anyone must talk to it. I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Zondi, Honorable Adams. So far, it's still those 2 hands, Honorable Joseph, Honorable Sebia, in that order. Honorable Madlingozi.
Chair?
Yes, Honorable Zondi.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much.
I have 500 rands given to Zolega and Jabu, penalty not to wearing the regalia of today. Even mine is, I'm going to forward to themselves. This regalia, we must, this is Netball Friday. Thank you. Go on, Honorable Member.
Chair, I made a disclaimer in one of the meetings.
Yes.
And the then DJ committed to rectify their mistakes.
Your size. Your size
The
of
size, yeah. Besides, ilingana unana wamona 12. But even in Parliament, we are not defying you, Chairperson, and the department. We love the department. We would love to have our T-shirt, wearing our T-shirts, even if we are going to the malls. We can wear them. We are proud of our country and the support given to the netball team by our department. So Chair, I will be waiting, but if I got figure, ngizobe ngigqoke noma yinebheshu ngaligqoka. Chair, a few questions quickly. We welcome the presentation by ATM. Just a few questions, Chair. We wish the entity should clarify the information provided in the annual report regarding the employment changes, as the information presented there do not correlate. The first one I pick up is the report of employment changes that does not match with the information provided on the reasons for staff leaving. That would be the first one, Chair. But the second one, Chair, is the existence of the two museum, the Amazwi South African Museum of Literature, along with the ATM, has one focus on language and literature. Now, I just want to know, do the two entities have any working relationship? If yes, what programs do the plan that they have to be jointly implemented in the current financial year? Yabonga.
Thank you so much, Honorable Zondi. Honorable Adams.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And good morning, Chairperson, and all members on the platform. Let me also welcome the presentation. Chairperson, I will start my questions directed to William Humphrey Art Gallery. In note 8 to the financial statements, general expenses include over 1 million rand on consulting fee. In the previous financial year, an amount of 209,000 was spent. The question is, Chair, why do the entity require service of consultants, and what services was rendered? The next question, the entity spent 257,000 on local traveling and subsistence. And in 2019-20, before the COVID-19 pandemic, it spent 269,000. Given the fast distance, Chair, that need to be covered in the Northern Cape province, how extensive was the entity's outreach program? Chairperson, and my next question will go to the Afrikaans Taal Monument. Can this entity, ATM, tell us what is the relationship between them and PEM, South African Language Board? Chairperson, and then I have another question. ATM received an allocation of 500,000 in the previous financial year through the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program. What was the achieved during the implementation of this program? I will stop there, Chair. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Dennis.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Minister, members, and all the visitors from the entity. Person, thank you for the opportunity and for the presentations. I would like to ask in some areas the department may respond or the entity, but there was in the mandate of the Afrikaans Taal Monument, one of the mandate points was that they need to promote Afrikaans. So I would like to know what progress has been made to promote promote Afrikaans in society, and up to the board level, not just in society, but also up to the board level and the structures of the Afrikaans Taal Monument. Chairperson, I want to congratulate the ATM on the clean audit, the audit outcome. I want to also make a comment, Chairperson, about the composition of the staff. I do not noted no black people there, senior or junior staff. I think it's just a comment I want to make about inclusivity. And Chairperson, to the Afrikaans Taal Monument, I think Mr. Jonas made a comment about that the monument is on indigenous land. So I'd just like him to explain that. I didn't understand that the concept, the terminology of indigenous, putting it into where the place is now and why he's making that statement. I also would like to know if the Afrikaans Taal Monument that needs to promote Afrikaans is able to benchmark themselves against another language, indigenous language, or as per the constitution. So what is the comparison, and how does one, if Afrikaans Taal Monument has established itself so well, how does it help for another language, the other languages that are not so recognized or doesn't get all the attention, to get them also to this level of recognition? Chairperson, I wanted to just focus on the self generated funding, and I've heard a comment about the photo shooting. I think photo shooting, in my experience on understanding, actually should be a profitable exercise. So I'm not sure if ATM is liaising with the local municipality or even the city of Cape Town, who have policies on these companies. They make big money when they come to photo shooting. So I would like to know if they are able to capitalize on that activity that they are involved in financially. And then the last point I want to raise, Chairperson, on the I think Sandre raised the point about the 2 million savings. Now, 2 million savings on unspent money, that's my understanding. Unspent capital works, that's incomplete or unspent grants. So it's a bit of a disguise to say you've achieved something by having unspent money, or that you have savings, whilst it actually comes from money not spent. And our aim is to spend all the money. So I just want clarity on that. I speak under correction, but that's my interpretation of that statement. And then the comment made about a good comment made about 1869 of the Arabic link to Afrikaans. I would like to know if there's a link to the Boerkaap, where the Arabic Afrikaans is basically still the dominant historical part. And then my last point, Chairperson, under entity arrangements, there's a slide that refers to 10 July 1977, where the entity was declared a public entity. Now, what I see missing, there's a gap in that part of that slide that does not speak to transition, after 1994. Because I have to now go back to the introduction that speaks about legislation, 1996 and so on. But it will be very useful if a line can be put in there in that paragraph, a line that what happened after 94 and why where we are today, in that transitional period. Afrikaans Taal Monument and the leadership should not be shy to speak about why we are where we are today, given what has happened in the 70s, or with the establishment of the Afrikaans Taal Monument, which is a good thing. But I think the change in South Africa should also be reflected where we are today. Thank you, Chairperson. That is for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Sibia.
And thanks, Chairperson. Greetings to everyone. And thanks for the presentation from the presenters. We board members, do we have persons who are physically challenged? And again, the entity does not have disabled employee. What is the plan to address this weakness? And are there any investigation plan to recover irregular expenditure of 9.6 million? What partnerships with small enterprises does the Afrikaans Taal Museum have? The entity overspent on public programs and communications and research. What caused the over expenditure, and why was the expenditure not budgeted for? Thanks for this moment. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sibia. Honorable Mahlingozi. Gadeb.
Ndibanjwe computer iyandisokolisa Chairperson Xolo.
Okay. Vala. Switch off your video. Switch off your video and then start to talk.
Chairperson.
Yes.
Inkosi Chairperson. Yavakala.
Yavakala ngoku.
Inkosi Chairperson. First of all, let me welcome the presentation by the ATM and all their crew. Most of all, I would love to pass my greetings to the department and everyone involved, and also the honorable members of the portfolio committee. Chairperson, given the fact that the majority of South African ethnic groups that are racist and racially looking out for themselves speak Afrikaans. The animal raises the ugly head on those individuals who are having that racial space, and this also occurs in institutions of higher learnings and richer spaces that are led by the Afrikaners. Since these unsettling occurrences happen within the ambience reflecting Afrikaans, Chairperson, what are the thoughts of ATM about these actions that are working against the social cohesion that the department is always talking about? Chairperson, why is the ATM not being part of all the other ethnic groups in the museum, in this museum sector? And is the ATM not seeing the separation as working against this social cohesion? Why is the department supporting separation development when they are supporting an entity that seeks to promote their own Taal? What about other Black languages, as Honorable Dennis Joseph had explained that what are the other Black languages that have not been recognized for as long as South Africa has been occupied by white settlers from the West? Chairperson,
Thank you, Honorable Mahlingozi. Honorable Veronica. Mute. Yeah, muted. Unmute. Can somebody assist to call her?
Yes, Chair, I will look for her, Chair.
Let me also raise a few questions. What is the perspective of the entity on current national reaction on matters related to the continued development of Monument Sand? What impact can it have for future developments? How can the entity communicate this significance of monuments to the nation, noting the experience on the national flag debacle, which is a significant national symbol? Other question that I was having, the Honorable, how do the this one has been asked. Now, this question of languages, almost every member is concerned about the one, because I was going to ask what is the view of the board in establishing of linguistic museums for all languages. About 3 to 4 members asked that question. So let me try, I'll come back in my closing remarks to reflect and to suggest to the ATM. Honorable Veronica. Were you having an impact on the load shedding on your revenue generation, and can the entity qualify the opportunity cost? Let's give it to the leadership. Whilst Honorable Veronica is still having challenges of network, maybe Ujabu need to call her, and then to forward the written questions. So far, can I take this opportunity to give it to the ATM that they must respond on the questions? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair, and the honorable members for the questions that have been asked today. Chair, allow me to, for the record purposes, to just introduce 3 members that are present. Mr. Maharaj, Ms. Eerdmans, and Mr. Odendorf. They are present here. They will also be assisting in Chair, let me first allow and give over to our director, Mr. Jonas, to deal with all those questions that are operational in nature. And thereof, the members of the council will come in and respond to the questions that are directly asked to the council chair, if you allow me.
With pleasure, with pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Mr. Jonas, can you deal with all the questions that are operational that have been asked by the honorable members?
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Member Zondi, You needed clarification on the staff. Okay, staff, the members who left the employment was basically due to better job opportunities. And of course, one staff member did basically not complete his period of probation. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, and the second question, what is the relationship between the ATM and Amwaswe? We've been in constant context, even at our International Museum Day, the director, the CEO for our sister entity was the keynote speaker. We're also in the process of, as part of our reading projects, to have a cooperation between the entities. We also need to understand, of course, there's a difference between a literature museum and a language museum. And we have different mandates, but we envisage that we will have a collaboration on reading projects and promoting reading across South Africa in different languages. Did I cover your questions, Mr. Zondi?
Of course, I'm covered.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. or Mrs. Adams, we had an engagement with Pansal South Africa, with the chairperson, the board, and the provincial leadership on looking at possible engagements and collaborations. So that is on the cards, yeah, because we are of the opinion that we can contribute a lot to the indigenous language promotion, and of course the contributions of the indigenous language towards Afrikaans. So we're in the process of we should set up we had a pilot meeting for engagement, but we will proceed, with a more concrete proposals to how to work together in the future. Your question pertaining to the 500,000 presidential stimulus grant, we never received the grant. And that was in the 2021 financial year. It was actually listed as one of the findings. And we had to journal it in and out. So we never received the money. So therefore, we can't report on any outcomes on that particular amount of money or grant that we never received. Do I answer your questions, Ms. Adams?
Satisfied, Mr.
We don't do that.
Responses?
We don't do that, Honorable Adams. Let's not do that.
Okay.
Continue.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Joseph, your question on how do we promote Afrikaans? The whole strategy is to look at marginalized variants or dialects of Afrikaans. And when I refer to dialects of Afrikaans, I refer to Kaapse Afrikaans, Muslim Afrikaans, Orange River Afrikaans. And we have lectures, we have educational programs, we have lectures and gatherings that concentrates on, that focuses on the shared origins of Afrikaans. And to some extent, we promote Afrikaans in all the different domains and spheres of our society. And we be also prominent in raising opinions in the form of newspaper articles and lectures where we engage with issues around a language, and the importance of language as a bearer of culture, language as identity, and of course, mother tongue education. Okay. Yeah. The composition, okay, that's a note. I can't recall stating that the monument was located on indigenous land. But what I can tell you is that the Khoisan people refer to as Tortoise or Skilpad Mountain. But what we do is, of course, we promote indigenous knowledge systems through our exhibitions. And one of our latest additions to our exhibitions focuses on the value of medicinal plants and so forth, and how this living heritage and knowledge is transferred from one generation to another generation. On your question of how do we benchmark ourselves with recognized institutions, language institutions, that is fairly difficult because we know that Afrikaans was in a privileged position, you know, and within 100 years it moved from what was known as a kitchen Dutch to a academic language, you know. But I think in terms of progressive thinking, the Afrikaans world has got a lot to offer other indigenous languages in terms of supporting, you know, and the know-how and skills to assist those the indigenous languages to also be elevated to academic language. And your question of commercial shoots, yes, we benchmark. We benchmark our tariffs, which is approved by council. We benchmark against, you know, local tariffs, national tariffs, West Coast tariffs, and of course what is happening in the provincial. So it's market related. It's competitive. Chandra, would you like? Okay, I'll finish with the Arabic Afrikaans. The link. The Boerkaap Museum is a satellite of the Zico Museums of Cape Town. And we do have contact because we present an annual Arabic Afrikaans workshop where people get the opportunity to learn about the language and also learn how to translate, you know, from Afrikaans to Arabic and vice versa. Yes, and it's noted that we need to include, you know, the progress in made since 1975. You know, we know Afrikaans is a controversial language with lots of baggage, you know, but that's exactly part of our narrative, you know, to have an inclusive narrative that deals with the history of the institution and Afrikaans as a whole. Chandra, could you perhaps answer Mr. Joseph on the unspent savings, please?
Thank you, Mr. Jonas. With the unspent, we moved the funds from our check account to the investments account. So we had to put it under investment. So that's why it's classified, but it's also classified under unspent grants under current liabilities. So it is stipulated as ungrant in our financial statements. Thank you, Mr. Jonas.
Thank you, Ms. De Jager. Mr. Sabaya, your question of why don't we employ physical or disabled persons? That's actually a good question. You know, if we, as part of our recruitment process is open, you know, we take all the designated groups into account. But to this date, and in my experience of the last 6 years, you know, we never had an applicant with physical or special needs that applied for any of our positions. And then under irregular expenditure, we do have a plan in place, but Chandra can answer on that and the overspending on the public programs.
Thank you, Mr. Jonas. With the irregular expenditure, we have an implementation plan where we look at the action that needs to be taken. There's a time frame, and then the people that will be held liable and also what not to do in the future. We will just go according to our plan to stipulate that the irregular expenditure does not occur again, and that responsible people is taken liable for that action. Thank you, Mr. Jonas.
Okay, Mr. Jager, just on overspending on public programs.
Can I please ask to what report it was the overspend was shown?
Mr. Sabaya?
If I may come in, please, to refer to that amount. It's about communication and research.
Thank you, Mr. It might be with the overspend, if there's an overspend, it might be there was an under budget. And if there was an under budget, we do look at the business plan in the next year to rectify why there was an underspend with the departments. And it could also be that they had the event might not have been marketing so well. So we will look at the ticket sales, and if it's not doing so, we might have to take extra precautions in order for us to break even, or so that the event doesn't go under a deficit. So that would be one of the matters that we would look at if there's an overspend in programs. Mr. Jonas, would you perhaps have anything to add to what I'm saying?
I think that the answer is sufficient. Thank you, Mr. De Jager. Over to you, Deputy Chair. I think we've covered all the operational questions that was posed.
Sorry, Mr. Jonas, there is still a question with the social cohesion. Is the board going to take that?
Yes, I think that's a strategic intervention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jonas. Thank you, Chair. Chair, just on a lighter note, we do have people that are physically challenged. You can see that I'm physically challenged. I'm having one eye, the other eye is challenged. Chair, that was on a lighter note. Chair, let me come on the issue that has been raised by the honorable members on the issue of the inclusion of other languages. Chair, I think the point that they are raising is a very much important point, but also we must remember that our mandate, Chair, is very clear that the mandate is the promotion of Afrikaans. And accordingly to how how we are established as an institution, we are an institution, a cultural institution under the Department of Arts and Culture. So, Chair, if anything has to change on the mandate, the department together with Parliament would have to instruct us to change the mandate, because as it is currently, there is an act with that regard. If proposals have to come, those proposals have to come from the department, and we will look at the proposal as the council, and then make sure to implement the mandate that has been given to us by the department together with the portfolio committee of Parliament. So for us now to can say we will be able to do that ourselves, Chair, we can't, because there's an act that is mandating us on how to deal with our issues as the council. In terms of the promotion of the languages, Chair, we have discussed as a council, in one of our council meeting, we have discussed this matter, because this matter has been raised by the department, but we have not yet reached a conclusion, because it's not a matter that we can discuss over a short period of time. It's a matter that needs a research, looking at what languages that we can include and promote within the demographics that are there around the museum and so on. So that's a matter that is really going to take a little bit of time, because like I said, there should be a research, there should be a lot of work that is needs to be done around that, Chair. Chair, also in the relationship between ourselves as PENSAL, I'm going to give over to other members to talk about other issues that have been raised directly to us as council members, Chair. But be that may, we know that PenSlab is a constitutional board that given a mandate to promote all the indigenous languages in South Africa, in our country. Obviously, Chair, we do have a relationship, but I think we will be taking all the comments that have been raised here for us in order to strengthen the relationship that we have with all these other cultural institutions that we share the same mandate with them. So we would also want to welcome all the comments that have been raised by the honorable members. We have noted them. In our next council, we will be able to discuss all those issues that they have raised here, the comments. We take those comments very seriously, Chair. Can I give over to other council members that are here so that they can also say one or two words, Chair? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Take care of that eye. You are not disabled, you must just take care of it. You were supposed not to be here, but I know who you are. Take care. Any intake?
Chairperson, yes, I would like to comment on some of the matters raised.
Yes, Ricardo.
Chair, it's Lionel Ardendorf here. I'm a member of the council, and I think I want to contribute to the politicization of Afrikaans and the misconceptions about Afrikaans that is my mother tongue, and also the language that my children speak. And I want to make it clear that our position has always been that Afrikaans has never been a white man's language. It has never been a colonizer's language. The history of Afrikaans itself will teach us how it came about. Its origins are very, very much Black. Its origins are very, very much African. And that is why we are fighting with a perception that is different. And as a council, we are committed to ensuring that Afrikaans as a language and as a construct remains inclusive. And we are working very, very hard, as you can see from all the programs that we have launched, everything that we do, to make sure that all Afrikaans speaking people, both Black and white, are comfortable in Afrikaans, that they claim the language as their own, and that the stigmas, the wrong perceptions, the negative connotations are being dealt with efficiently and effectively, so that Afrikaans belongs to those who speak it, those who have it in their hearts. And that is what we have done during our term. And as the chairperson explained, it is something that we are beset with. We try very, very hard not to get involved in particularly the other side of Afrikaans politics, because we are very sympathetic to those who feel that they have become estranged from Afrikaans. And that community is largely African. That community is largely Black. And that community that experience the estrangement from Afrikaans, their mother tongue, on a daily basis, find resonance in the Afrikaans Language Museum and Monument, and particularly in what we do. And that is why we are not a political organization. We need to understand that our role is, as the chairperson, deputy chairperson explained, to ensure that more and more Afrikaans speaking people, and as I have highlighted earlier, particularly Black and African Afrikaans speaking people, are comfortable in the language and find resonance and a home within Afrikaans. And we are working, as I said, very, very hard to deal with those negative perceptions, because we are obviously encountering hostage situations where there are particularly where there are some organizations, groupings, and people who want to claim Afrikaans as their own, while that is the one battle we fight to ensure that Afrikaans belong to all who speak it, all those who live in it, and all of those who love it. And I want to assure the honorable members that in our perception and our stand on Afrikaans, most council members that I have encountered, most members of the executive are very, very liberal and, dare me say, left. We will continue to use Afrikaans as a means to build our country, build our nation, and ensure that each and every one who speaks Afrikaans and who love Afrikaans find that they have a place in this country, and that Afrikaans is rather a tool of unity, of reconciliation, and, Chair, as I said, of inclusion than of exclusion, as it has become known in previous years. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'm having an indication from honorable members that they're still having follow-up questions or new questions. So when we're responding, we need to be brief to the point. Any responses so far? Deputy Chairperson, I'm suspecting if it was going to be any other, I don't see any hands of themselves. Can I take this opportunity to give the honorable members who are having other questions, either follow-up questions or new questions? Honorable Dennis, Honorable Sibia, Honorable Adams, Honorable Zondi. Let me ask Honorable the Logan to wait. You'll answer after these other coming up questions. Can you lower your hand, Monsamai? Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson, for the second opportunity, and thank you to ATM for the responses. I just wanted to make a point clear, Chairperson. The recording, if ATM gets a copy of the recording, Mr. Jonas will hear that he specifically said that the monument is on indigenous land. That is what I've heard. So he's welcome to get the copy of the recording. That's why I've asked, he must explain what does he mean with that statement. And then he also said, language is the language, Afrikaans was the language of the oppressor and of the oppressed. Now, I didn't ask the question on that, but what was said now by the latest gentleman, I think Mr. Langenhoven, who by his introduction says we mustn't politicize, but I think he contradicts himself. He said it was Afrikaans was not a white man's language. Now, you know, that's a debatable point, given our history where we come from. It was not, but it was claimed by them to be their language, although it wasn't. So on that point, I will think halfway agree with you. But the comment you make that who you are and your board members are, and you are liberal and you are left, that by implication is a political statement. So you can't start with saying we shouldn't politicize and then you make political statements. I'm not going to interrogate your statement. I'm just commenting on what you were saying. I do not want to go into the merits of what you've said, but that's all I want to say. Thank you, Chairperson. And the recording will also prove that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Honorable Denise. The next honorable member is Honorable Sibia.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks for all responses. I will recommend to Afrikaans Taal Museum to promote the importance of symbolism and the and monuments to educate our communities and work with schools in this regard and in national public discourses. And also recommend that they should also develop a recovery plan for pre-pandemic levels of the entrance. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sibia. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, my question will be to ATM. What is the view of the board to establishment of interesting museums for all languages? And the last one, what is the constraints within turning of performance levels of pre-pandemic on visitors? What plan is the entity having to perform above pre-pandemic periods? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Adams. Honorable Zondi.
Thanks, Chair. Our questions are triggered by the responses by the ATM, but will be quick, Chair. Which symbols and collection does the ATM have which represents multiculturality and multilingualism interconnections of Afrikaans beyond educational programs and cultural activities? It's a little bit the same on the question raised by Honorable Sibia. But the other one, Chair, is with regard to the communication, Chair. How can the entity communicate this significant of monuments to the nation, noting the experience of the national flag depicting, which is a significant national symbol? And the last one, Chair, I would like to know what partnership with the small enterprises does the ATM have, if they have. I will pause for there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Zondi. Can I ask Ujabu to read the questions of Honorable Fande, who's having a problem of a network? Jabu.
Thank you, Chair. There are 3 questions from Ms. Van Dijk. The first one is slide 9. Besides the ATM, how many other language monuments has the department established or contributed towards establishing or intend to establish in future to celebrate other indigenous languages? Then slide 17, how will the department from their side assist to address the service delivery challenges of the ATM? And the last one, what relationship does the ATM have with PenSouth? It was strange that during the debacle, when there was an outcry for the monument's name change, that there's no recollection of the reflection of PenSouth on this matter. So what relationship does ATM have with the PenSouth African Languages Board? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. So far, can now I again go back to the leadership of ATM. After that, I'll give it to the department in order that we must get it to another item in the agenda. Must not forget that the time that are allocated for us is 1 o'clock. Even the next item can take much of our time. So even to our visitors, we must just be brief to the point. I didn't want to caution one of you ATM who was just like addressing, and I'm suspecting that's why Honorable Dennis raised that. But because we're here, we need answers, and some other members can't be brief to the point. But I do appeal that if you can follow Deputy Chair's Deputy Chair style of responding, just go to the point. Thank you so much. Hidden Edman, I'm seeing your hand.
Chair, just before the members of the council, Chair, also being jealous of your time, I think, Chair, let me just acknowledge all the recommendations that have been made here. What Mr. Dennis, the Honorable Dennis has made, the recommendations, the comments around him, those comments, Honorable Dennis, have been noted. We will take a look at them and discuss some of the issues in the next council. Also with Mayor Sibia, Ms. Sibia would thank you for the recommendations that we have made around the issue of the importance of symbolism and the monument itself, and also the recommendation around us developing the recovery plan for pre-COVID period and also post-COVID period. What is it that we're going to do as the ATM? Also, Dade Adams, we are noting your question, but although your question is more of being referred to the department, because the establishment of the museum of other languages should be responded to by the department. On the Honorable Zondi, the issue of symbolism, again, it comes back. We are noting it, and we take it very serious that it is important that we must promote the symbols that are there, the symbols that our country have put forward, like our flags, our plants, our animals that are symbolic to us as South Africans. We will take that also perhaps in the next presentation when we come back, or in the next report, when we report on the department, we'll make sure that we report on the work that we are doing in promoting who we are as South Africans. Chair, I'm also going to give over to Ntate Logan, because he's the one who had his hand over from the council, so that we don't take much of your time, because most of the things that have been raised here in the second round of questions are more of comments that we really need, comments and recommendations that we need to take as the ATM and go back to our drawing boards, be able to implement them in betterment of our society, social cohesion, and also to diversify the languages that we have in the country. So, Ntate Logan, can we take the opportunity so that we don't spend more of the time, and we don't want to open more of the questions, because believe me, I know honorable members, whatever that you say, they will make sure that they write each and everything. At the end of the day, would not be able to answer some of the questions that they are going to raise. So we must limit ourselves to the questions that they have raised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you that we are giving the guidance to your colleagues, because some responses made us to do follow up and discuss their responses. Thank you so much. You, as the leader, is saying the next person to respond. Thank you for the responses, Deputy Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you very much, Chairperson. To the Honorable Minister and all honorable members included here, and including officials.
Just a moment. Can we welcome the DM? Has finished the other engagement which he was having. Now, Honorable the DM, Notawe Mafu, we are welcome. We did get your apology when we started. Thank you that you have joined us. Thank you, DM.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and all the SEC members for this invitation. We welcome all your suggestions and take it from me and Chairperson and all members present here. In your next meeting, you will get some positive feedback regarding all your concerns. We also want to place on record that we are committed to the transformation agenda and to the agenda of TSEC in all your endeavors. It may be difficult for us because we have political parties that have attended our community meetings and tried to interrogate us. However, we responded appropriately with our chairperson, deputy chairperson, and the rest of the council by way of media statement to correct the wrong thinking on part of the Afrikaans conservative communities. Regarding their relationships, we do have a relationship with the Afrikaans Academic Institution. We have some community activities, for example, the book launches and so on, to show the council's regard for Afrikaans. However, there are many challenges that we still need to overcome so that members of Parliament feel comfortable with the progress that we are making. We can assure you in your next meeting, you will get some definitely positive responses to your concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can now take this opportunity to give it back to the department.
Thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to the Deputy Minister who I have not greeted. Just small corrections, maybe before I just deal with issues that have been raised, Chairperson. I think that I know that we have not internalized the fact that we are now the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture. So I could pick up in the presentations that there is still reference to arts and culture. But of course, also the ministry is one, is sport, arts and culture, and that is an executive authority to the Afrikaans Taal Museum, not Treasury. Treasury is just servicing all government departments, including institutions. Then coming to the point that was made by Honorable Mahlingozi about the department, I might not necessarily say verbatim what he was saying, but just to paraphrase maybe what, if you will agree, that I understood very well when you were saying that we are maybe funding separate development. And maybe just to correct that, in fact, that's not what we're doing. What we are doing is to encourage integration and also to address what could have arisen out of separate development. I'm saying this just by showing clearly what this department has done. You used to have the National English Literary Museum in Makhanda. Today, that museum is Amazwi South African Museum of Literature. And it was out of that understanding that indeed you can have one museum that is servicing literature from different languages. That linguistic diversity is there. And of course, we are not a static society. We're evolving, and the thinking, as you know, that we are in the process of amalgamating various entities. We do not know what the future will hold in terms of saying, can't we have a museum maybe that deals with languages? That is a possibility at any point in time, which then begins to also talk to what Honorable Van Dijk was asking for, whether we should have a monument for each and every language. And under the current situation, under the current budgetary constraints, one is not seeing that is something that can happen anytime soon. Maybe also that's what we need to address as the department, to say, how do we integrate rather than separate? I just thought that maybe I need to just put that point forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, DG. I'm not sure at what time that our DM arrived. But if DM we want to say one word or whatever, it's not necessary, because I know that you started somewhere and the minister was asked to be released, and we have released him. He asked that 10:30. DM?
Thanks, Chair. I was going to ask the committee to continue, Chair, and I will make my remarks at the end of the second item.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to thank ATM, but also ATM should promote the importance of symbolism and monument to educate our communities and work with the schools in the regard and in the national public discourse. That's one of my recommendations on behalf of the committee. And you need to develop a recovery plan for the pre-pandemic levels of the entrance. But also, let me take this opportunity to say the entity, we should be commended you for improving your audit opinion and achieving a clean audit opinion for 2021 and 2022. Keep up the good work. Together we can do more. I'm taking this opportunity, Deputy Chairperson, to release you at this point.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. On behalf of the ATM, would really like to thank the Portfolio Committee on Sport, Arts and Culture for this opportunity to come and make a presentation. We know that you have a lot of entities. Having to be chosen as one entity to come and present, it's really an honor. Would love to thank that opportunity and also to reiterate that we are committed to the transformation agenda of this government. We'll make sure that we are parcel of making sure that social cohesion is indeed realized in the field of work where we are working. Thank you so much, Chairperson. In closing, also would like to invite the honorable members in their spare time to come and visit the museum. We are just around the corner here in Paarl. And also to the DM, thank you DM, and Siakbulisa Natisi ATM. DM, we must also take some time to also visit the museum and in your spare time. Thank you very much to all the honorable members for their input, and thank you to the department, and also thank you to the council members that are present here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Out of 64,000 of your visitors will add more. We appreciate you will do so. Thank you. You are released. Honorable members, now let's come to the point 5 in our agenda. Overview of a department on William Humphrey Art Gallery, brief to the point, and even the gallery themselves, they must do so, but we must not run away of the content and the questions. And the members, when they are asking questions, they must not do political statements. They must just straight to the point. Thank you so much. DG?
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Minister, Deputy Minister, honorable members of the committee, and the Chairperson of the William Humphrey Art Gallery. Just to be very brief, that this gallery has been established in terms of the Cultural Institutions Act of 119 of 1998. The main purpose of this particular institution also is to collect, preserve, conserve, and document, research, as well as exhibit works of art which represent the artistic heritage of all South African, and utilizes its assets for the edification enrichment and enjoyment of the people. Moving to the non-financial performance, we can see that there has been consistency in terms of the achievement of this particular institution. 82%, 2019-20, 2020, 82. Of course, there has been an increase in 2021-22, where you see 92%. And then the financial allocation, if we can move to financial allocation, you can see how money has been allocated to this institution over 3 years, with 2022-2023 having a bit higher amount of 12 million. And then moving to audit outcomes, it is gladdening, Chairperson, to report that this institution in particular has done very well, given the fact that it got an qualified audit with findings in 2019, and you can see the improvement in 2020, 2021, where it got a clean audit, and it has sustained the clean audit in 2021, 2022. And then you look at the composition of the board without necessarily really getting into the detail of names and but just to indicate the expertise that is in there. You can see the diversity of, or the balanced nature of the expertise, because you've got very strong expertise when it comes to matters of finance, legal, corporate governance, but of course you also have museum expertise. And then going to oversight activities, now you can also see the number of council members. In this case, there has been 7, 2019-20, 2020-2021, 6, and 2021-2022, 7. Which are, of course, 2020-2021. It's not good to have 6 council members for for council to quorate. And then the number of council meetings, I see that there was a spike in 2021-2022. I'm sure that it was because of COVID, and also the virtual meetings used to happen quite frequently. Then number of council committee meetings, also you can see the spike there in terms of the number from the year of COVID to up until 2021-2022. And the audit committee meetings, you can see the number there as well, that there has been a frequent meetings. And maybe it explains why they've also just been able to have a clean audit. Then the staff meetings, also the number is stated there. Governance engagements, you see the Heritage Sector Forum, where this particular institution participate in the forum where various heritage institutions meet. The date there is it's 3 September 2021. That's the time that they were able to attend. Then the CEO's forum, we can see also the dates there that have been put forward. And then the Chairperson's forum, where the minister meets with the chairperson of institutions to look at the work that chairpersons provide oversight on. And then the composition of executive management, it has been clearly indicated who the director is and who the CFO is. Also, what is important there, it's just to note good gender representativity, in the sense that you've got both the female and females director and CFO. Composition of staff, that's the slide that talks to that. And then when it comes to challenges and interventions, contrary to what we got in the previous presentation, where there were a number of maintenance problems that were clearly outlined, and of course the interventions that the department is planning to do. In this case, there are no specific challenges that, or from the maintenance point of view, that have been highlighted for our intervention. So I would like to stop there, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, PDTG. Now, can we give it this time to Mr. Marcelo Popo, Chairperson?
Thank you once again, Honorable Chairperson, for the opportunity for us to present the entity's annual report. As indicated earlier on, Chairperson, that our director, Ms. Mkhize, is not available. And Ms. Martha Ramafalo, who is the CFO, will be presenting on behalf of the entity. If I may then be allowed to hand over this opportunity, or rather the baton, to Ms. Ramafalo to present for us. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
With pleasure, thank you.
Okay, good morning, honorable members. As I have already been introduced by my chairperson of the council, my name is Martha Ramafalo. I just switched on the video now just for the honorable members to see me, but I'm just going to request that I switch it off because I have issues with internet connection.
No problem, do so.
Okay, let me just share the presentation. I'm just going to ask for a few seconds to share the presentation. Okay, do I have sharing rights?
Yes, ma'am, you do have sharing rights. We've made you the co-host.
Okay, can the chairperson, can you just indicate if you can see my screen then?
Yeah, fine.
Fine, okay. Okay. Okay, apologies.
What is the problem now?
Yeah, it looks like the is a problem. Is it fine? Let me just look. Is it the one?
We are taking our time now. We don't have enough time. What's the problem? Tell us, or tell the core.
Okay, I think it's sorted. I just need to.
But you don't tell us what is the problem in order that Ujabu must assist.
No, I think if I just want to make sure that when I move the slides, they are moving.
Okay.
Because it looks like they are issues. I'm just gonna send someone to help me quickly.
Talk to us. This is performance information by program 1. Talk to that. It's on the screen.
Resumption. Okay, that's fine. All right. Okay, can you see the presentation now?
That's how I was saying.
Okay, no, thank you, Chairperson. I am going to start the presentation, but I think the previous presenter has actually detailed the vision and the mission organization. And on a high level, I think I'm just going to touch on the mission and vision. And our vision is a world-class art gallery of excellence that is accessible and relevant to all. And our mission is to collect, preserve, and conserve artworks that are representative of the cultural diversity and heritage of South Africa, Africa, and beyond. And when I move to the next slide, it depicts the values that the organization lives by, and it indicates that we subscribe to Ubuntu, excellence, professionalism, teamwork, and community engagement and empowerment. Just need an indication, Chairperson, if my slides are moving as well. Are they moving?
It's not now on the screen.
Are they on the screen now?
Maybe it's myself, because oh, organizational structure, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, and apologies for the inconvenience.
No problem, no problem.
Okay, and on this organizational structure, it indicates that the organization has in total 16 staff members, and we have 3 programs, which are administration, collections management, and public engagement. And also, as it has indicated, we are actually accounting to the accounting authority, which is the council, and we are led by the director, who is the accounting officer. And the next slide. I'm just going to give a high level summary of the programs, the performance, and also the spendings aligned to the performance. Under the administration, the strategic objective there is to ensure that William Humphrey Art Gallery is compliant with legislation and accounting standards. And the goal is enabling an efficient workforce to deliver on work's objective. And the primary focus is to streamline the internal business processes, systems, and procedures to meet work's strategic objectives and to ensure compliance with all legislations. And I'm just going to actually give a high level the results of the 2021-2022 financial year. Under administration program, we have 2 outcomes and the outputs, of which the first one is full compliant with PFMA and accounting standards. The outcome is to improve governance by obtaining an unqualified audit opinion. And the actual achievement for the 2021-2022 was unqualified audit report without findings, which is a clean audit opinion, and it's also consistent with the previous actual against our planned target of unqualified audit report, and there we have exited our target. And the reason for that access is that there's a bit of improved administration on our side. And again, on building a professional and capacitated organization outcome, the output there is to implement programs get towards enhancing capacity, and the indicator is training interventions. For the 2021-2022 financial year, the actual performance was 4 against the target of 4, and there has not been a deviation there. But also linking it to the budget, I just want to indicate that we are heavily reliant on DSEC for the revenue. However, the point that I'm trying to make is that as much as we actually have exceeded our target and got a clean audit opinion, there was the actual spendings, actually there was an underspending there of 2.4 million. However, I think it is important for me to indicate to the committee that the budget was a revised budget based also on the retention of the funds from Treasury. And it was not just purely on the allocation. So on for the year, so hence there is an underspending in line with the target there. And then also, I just want to indicate that under this program, we do have a huge capacity constraints, as I have indicated earlier. Under the administration, it is led by the CFO. However, we do not have the SCM staff, financial reporting, and HR staff there. So we actually are trying to live within the allocation that we get. And I'm just going to take the committee to the next performance information program, of which is collections management. And on collections management, the objective there, the strategic objective is to grow the collections in line with strategic priorities and to address historic inequalities. The goal is to transform and develop the William Humphrey Art Gallery's permanent collections, and the priority focus is interventions related to the strategic objective will contribute towards a more inclusive representation of the collection through a collection strategy that focuses on redress. On the next slide, it's also going to be a high-level comparison of the actual achievement for the 2021-22 in line with the planned. And under this collection management program, we do have 4 outputs, and which are to purchase artworks for the permanent collection in order to redress imbalance and representativity. And the output indicator there is the number of artworks acquired from previously disadvantaged emerging artists. Under this output, the actual achievement for the 2021-2022 was 23 artworks collected. The planned for the financial year of 2021-2022 was 16. So, and we had actually overachieved there by 7. And the reason was that there was actually a substantial donation in prints. That is one form of collect artworks by the Artists for Human Rights Trust. And the second output under program 2 is to purchase artworks of the works permanent collections in order to redress imbalances of the past. Okay, is the same as the previous, the first one. However, the difference here is the output indicator, which relates more to the acquisition from artists from previously disadvantaged artists. And the actual achievement is 38 in comparison to the planned of 24. And we actually have exceeded our target by 14. And also the reason there is donations from Human Rights Trust and also from an estate of one of our late resident artist by the name of Mabaso. And output number 3 is to maintain an optimum environment for the preservation of the artwork collection environment. And output indicator there is the number of artworks conserved. Under this output, the actual achievement was 17, and it was over by 11 as compared to the planned. And the reason there was a high demand of special loan requests from the Javed Art Foundation. Then last one under this program is a number of artwork digitized. That is an indicator for the output of digitization of collections. The actual there is 21, which is 3 under achievement as compared to the plan of 24. And the reason for the deviation was that some funds were redirected to upgrade the website that will house the digitized artwork. I think the committee, I also want to indicate that COVID has actually taught us how important, I don't know if, I hope I'm not breaking because it says there is a connection instability, but let me continue. I just wanted to highlight that COVID has taught us how important this output is, more so because of during COVID we have actually experienced issues whereby people could not actually visit the gallery, and the only way was to actually for us to show them on a website whereby we don't have digitized collections, exhibitions that we couldn't do a lot of them because of the challenge with us not having the artworks that are digitized. And I think that is one area that we actually have underachieved. It's a work in progress. And on linking the actual to the performance to the budget, I also want to indicate that that as much as we have overachieved, we tried by all means to do it within our means. But however, it does not mean the overachievement doesn't also mean that there was an overspending, but rather an underspending. And the next one is on program 3, which is public engagements. And on the public engagement, the strategic objective there is to promote the creative production of South African art and heritage through the display of temporary and permanent exhibitions and public programs. And I think maybe I should just go to the priority focus, which indicates that their focus is interventions related to strengthening awareness of work activities and showcasing the contributions programs that make use of the socio-economic developments and uplifting to local communities. Under this program, we do have 7 outputs, and I'm just going to take the committee through the actual achievements of the activities under the year. So the first one is the output is showcasing the heritage assets for the enrichment and education of domestic and international audience. Output indicator 1 is the number of temporary loan exhibitions presented. The actual is 4, the target was 4, and there was no deviations there. The second output indicator is the number of permanent collection exhibitions presented. The actual is 6, in line with the target, and there were no deviations on that one. And the third one is the number of outreach programs presented. The actual there is 4, the target is 4, and there were no deviations. And maybe I just want to indicate that this is one of the programs that we are actually working together with the MT, and they are funding the majority of this program. And number 4, the output indicator is artist residency presented. Okay, on this one, there actually has not been the actual was 0. And I just want to check on the deviations there. It says I don't know what's happening, but I think I can just be able to explain when I read the deviations. Artist residency not implemented due to pending refurbishment on the residency apartments and studio. Okay, I think this was one of the indicators that was actually introduced when the strategy was developed in 2019, 2020. However, we actually had challenges, and last financial year, the 2020-2021, when we were given an opportunity during COVID to actually revise our annual performance plan, it was revised because of the issues were not the issues that we could actually fix within a year, as they also relate to the infrastructure. And then the next one is the number of special community projects implemented. The actual achievement there is 3, of which is in line with the target. And after that, I would move to the next one, which is the film screening presented. And then we had a target of 37. The actual was 37, and then that was an overachievement of 13 as compared to the target of 24. And the reason there was that there was additional screenings implemented to service the national celebration calendar and to absorb requests for partnership from external organizers on screenings and film festivals at the museum. And the last one is undeveloped specialist reference library. And the indicator there is the number of publications acquired. The actual was 44, which was over target, was over achievement by 4 in comparison to the target of 40. And the reason there is also an issue of donations. And linking the budget to the actual performance, it's also a scenario that we actually do not have, we actually haven't overspent as much as we have overachieved in some areas. And the next one that I just want to take the committee through is our revenue collection. I think I have already indicated that the majority of our revenue collection is on transfer and subsidies, which is a grant that we get from the department. And I also just want to indicate that in comparison to the 2020-21 financial year, the transfer and subsidies in that year was 9144, which was actually a reduction due to COVID issues, and also a matter of the gallery not being operational for the full year. And we do have an interest income there as well of 200, and other incomes of 222, of which is more on donations. And but however, the point that I'm trying to emphasize here is that the majority of our revenue is from the department. And again, the next one that I just want to talk about is capital investment. But this one talks more about the upgrading that needs to happen for us to be able to deliver on our strategic objectives. I just want to indicate that the gallery that we are actually housed at is, we have a lease from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and whereby the building is slowly deteriorating with the HVAC system that needs attention. We did have challenges here because of there is funds that were actually given by the department in 2019, 2020. However, due to capacity constraints, and we actually had not appointed. And at the time that the financial year, we actually had not achieved, but I just need to give an update to the committee to say we actually have finally managed to appoint the project manager, and we are well on our way to actually implement on actually refurbishing the HVAC system. And just the next slide and the coming 2-3, I'm just going to give a high level summary on our financial performance, but then I'm just going to focus on areas where they actually have issues maybe, and then I will take it from there. I'm not going to talk to everything, but all that I need to highlight on this one is the government grants and subsidies, which there was actually a higher increase in 2022. However, the reason for the higher increase is not something that was normal, as the comparative year actually depicts revenue after the reduction that was made. And also something that I just want to highlight on it's under expenditure, employees related costs, which is our compensation of employees and I just need to indicate that we actually are trying to contain that amount not to be more than 60% of our revenue, and we have managed to do that. And also what I need to indicate on the next statement is more so on the heritage assets, which is the artworks that we house. And I just need to indicate that in the 2021 financial year, there was a revaluation of these artworks in line with the accounting standards of heritage assets. And there was actually a huge increase from the 2019-2020. It's unfortunate that it's not, the 2020 has not been presented here, but I just wanted to highlight that area to say it's something that actually as our biggest balance sheet item that I need to highlight the committee on. And again, I think on the next one, the statement of budget and actuals, I just need to maybe indicate that on other incomes, the variance of 45 there is actually due to the fact that it's other income is more on donations, and the budgeting is not always 100%. And again, I think, well, there isn't something big that are okay. And then the repairs and maintenance, the budget was, we actually have budgeted a lot on this one because I have indicated that we have issues with infrastructure, but we could not spend on it because of we required skills with project management. And I think from this one, honorable members, I just need to say I've reached the end of my conclusion, and I just need to thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, that's it from me. I think then we can take the questions. Thank you. I don't know what's hitting. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, no, thank you, Chairperson. I've reached the end of my presentation.
Mr. Marcelo, can we now, are you saying you're ready to take questions with your team?
Yeah. Yes, Chairperson, we are. I think for record purposes, so far there's 3 questions that were posed by Honorable Adams. Perhaps before we respond to those three questions, if we could kindly get an indication if there are any questions emanating from the platform. Thank you, Chairperson.
I don't know when did Ms. Adams raise those questions. Never mind. Honorable Zondi, Honorable Joseph. I'm not sure about other Honorable Adams's questions. Honorable Adams, Honorable Sibia, in that order. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I will be very brief. Chair, we welcome the presentation by the Art Gallery. The first question, Chair, the entity has underspent in the on program 2 by just over 500,000. Why did the entity not utilize its budget to increase its impact on artists? Njengoba bethuka ungqongqoshe imhla namalanga nje bethi abanakiwe. The second one, Chair, the entity on program 3 reports financial constraints, but the entity underspent in the very same program by just over 650,000. Why does the entity report financial constraints yet it underspends, which has a negative economic impact on such funds that contributes to the economic activity? The third one, Chair, statement. I'll refer my question on the short statements so that they will understand where my questions are referred to. Note 27 to the financial statement state the litigation involving the former director at the CCMA has been finalized in favor of the gallery. The case has been referred to the Labour Court for review. The timing and amount of contingent liability is uncertain and no reasonable estimate can be made at this point. The second one, in the 2020-21 annual report, the gallery provides the following. It is noteworthy to mention that there has been a change in the leadership at the gallery. The director, Emerson White, was on maternity leave from April to July 2020, with the CFO, Martha, acting in the position in the interim. Subsequent to the suspension and litigation, Mrs. White's contract has been terminated with Ms. Ramafaro remaining at the helm for the duration of the financial year. The Art Gallery further notes in the 2021-22 annual report that in order to alleviate administrative burden due to this vacancy of the CEO, certain functions were outsourced to service providers at a cost to the organization. Towards the beginning of the second quarter, the situation improved when the new director, Ms. Nilsi Mkhize, assumed her duties and responsibilities. Now the questions, Chair. What led to Mrs. White's suspension and the subsequent termination of her contract? Where in the process is litigation now, as it is filed after the end of the 2021 to 2022 financial year? What is the total spend on the date on this matter? How long did the CFO act in the position of the CEO? And the last one on this statement to the department, who is the service provider appointed to the elevate the administrative burden. This is the term they use, elevate the administrative burden. Given the size of the entity, why is not feasible for the department to second a CEO from one of its other entities to function as an interim CEO? The very last one, Chair. The gallery underspent on its collection management of 3.2 million budget by 1.5 million. The report provides the following explanation. The underutilization of the budget for the collection management is largely due to the donations of artworks from artists and production houses and the lower price point for emerging artists and works on paper, both categories constituting a large percentage of works acquired in the financial period. Now, given that the sector and its practitioners are just barely emerging from devastating consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic, why did the gallery not make concerted effort to acquire more artworks, particularly from the emerging artists?
Thank you, Honorable Zondi. Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the presentations. I am covered 90% by Member Zondi questions. I just wanted to follow up on one or two. I want to say, Chairperson, I'm not sure if I've changed. My glasses broke, so I got my old glasses. So, but I'm not sure I'm the only one who's struggled to read the presentation. Somehow this printing or the ink, the fonts or something was just not the same as I normally used to read it. So it wasn't clear to me, to be honest, with this presentation. But it could be my glasses. Chairperson, yeah, I need to acknowledge the clean audit and the hard work that goes in between the department and the entity, on the administrative part, to ensure there's an outcome of an audit, and in this case, a clean audit. I want to support the questions raised by Member Zondi, but I just want to also just confirm my concerns on the consulting fees. I think they should in a breakdown write to us all this consulting fees spent in this past financial year in writing. And then also the questions to the former director raised by Member Zondi. It's quite a lot, but I think it's sometimes good if we get some of this information in writing. I'm in particular interested, Chairperson, in the situation the entity finds itself in, and particularly with the litigation, and what it has budgeted for. Because if it doesn't know where the case is going, what is the current budget at the moment for litigation? And are you calling on the department to assist you? And if so, by how much? I'm not sure if you have a budget to cover all this litigation fees. And I'm also keen to know who was appointed person or company to do some of the functions that were outsourced. I support the questions on the underspending. I just want also to know, reference was made to a project manager. I want to know what is the cost of this project manager, and what is the project scope or the job description of this project manager. Excuse me, Chairperson. Apologies, I just want to close the door.
Okay.
Chairperson, then my last point is comment. I just heard the comment made about the employee cost, staff cost, trying to keep it below 60%. That's an alarming percentage to mention, because the previous entity have given us a well-balanced personnel cost of 48% and their operating was 52%. That is actually where the whole of government should be. And I think one day we must, or appropriations must talk about setting a percentage for entities and government departments and all of us in government, what employment costs should consist of, so that more money can go to services and to the people. But my question, I would like to know if I've heard correctly, Chairperson, if the attempt was to try to keep it below 60%, because my question is, what is the current employment cost and versus the operating cost? That's my questions for now. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Joseph. Honorable Adams.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I also welcome the presentation. I already asked questions, but I have more. So my questions will be, does the entity have a strategy to attract donations and other finances to expand the number of artwork acquired, particularly to promote previously disadvantaged, emergency, and established artists? What criteria does the entity use to set its performance targets, recognizing that William Humphrey Art Gallery overachieved in most of the output indicators in Program 2? Is the entity setting objective targets? How will the William Humphrey Art Gallery ensure it promotes digitized artwork beyond the website? And under financial statements, Chairperson, an amount of over 24,000 was allocated. When was it allocated, and why did the entity require funds? It seems to have no plans to execute, as it is still currently in a process of appointing a project manager. And then, Chairperson, I have a recommendation to the entity. The entity should develop a digital strategy to promote the artwork domestically and internationally. I thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Sibia, thank you, Honorable Adams.
Thanks, Chairperson. Thanks for the presentation. Most of the questions are covered by Honorable Zondi. I left with one. What happened during the course of the initial planning of this project, as HWAC indicated that it is due to human resource capacity constraints that the project could not be implemented sooner? Did the entity not foresee this challenge would hamper the project? I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Sibia. Let me take this opportunity to thank the presenters and the team at large. Why has the entity underspent by 2.4 million? And why does this entity not appoint finance officials to provide financial management functions, including procurement, as the entity has a CFO? Also, does the entity have any plan to build internal finance capacity? And then as I'm about to give you a recommendation, but first of all, what type of partnership does the work have with creative artists and other social matters who organize events sorry, at the museum, and what type of events are mostly held? And as I'm about to, I've finished my questions, but I do want that, can I recommend that the entity should build internal financial management capacity? On that note, so far there are no other hands. Can the legal hands be down, Honorable Adams, Honorable Sibia? I'm taking this back to you, Chairperson. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you to all the honorable portfolio members for raising compelling questions that I believe are all geared towards assisting us as the council together with management to be efficient. Indeed, we are heeding the call with regards to all these questions, suggestions, and proposals coming from honorable portfolio members. I will respond to some of the questions. As indicated again, Chairperson, that from the council side, we do have the Deputy Chairperson, as well as I see the Chairperson of Audit and Risk is also present, and some council members are also present to assist in fielding some of the questions, Chairperson. Starting first, Chair, from my side, with regards to the question posed by Honorable Zondi, I think the first question relates to underspending of about 500,000. I'm going to ask the CFO to please respond to that. And then the second question with regards to program 3, the report under the financial constraints highlighted. Question number 3 with regards to note 27 of the annual financial statement relating to the labor court matter, currently pending before the court between the entity and the former director. I'm going to respond as follows. By way of a background, the matter actually relates to where an anonymous tip-off was given to me telephonically by one of the staff members who actually alerted the council or myself that there was a change of the entity's accounting system without the approval of the council. This unauthorized change in the system was apparently initiated by the former CFO together with the internal audit representative. Perhaps maybe again, let me just also explain who this particular internal audit representative I'm referring to. Our internal audit function, Chair and honorable members, is currently outsourced to an accounting and audit firm called Mora Incorporated. So they then deployed to our entity a representative by the name of Skalk Oosthuizen. So Skalk Oosthuizen at the time, together with the CFO at the time, then decided to make an appointment of a new accounting package system. And that system was actually operational for about a period of 6 months without the council knowing. When we started investigating, it then transpired that indeed the appointment of the service provider was irregular in so many respects. But of material respect that was a concern to us was that there was an existing relationship between this service provider and the internal audit representative. So much so that the investigation further revealed that in actual fact, even the payment that was made on the entity's behalf was made by the internal audit representative himself using his own personal credit card. We then had a meeting with the executive team and the founder of Mora about this particular conduct involving one of their own. Indeed, they conducted their own investigation, which concluded that indeed the internal audit representative's conduct was unlawful. And as a result, we were then compensated, or we were refunded all the monies that were spent on behalf of the entity by this particular irregular appointment. The second incident that also arose involving the same internal audit representative was when this particular audit firm was also irregularly appointed, again by the same CFO, to conduct the council strategic workshop. Again, at the time, the council was not aware of the appointment, but upon investigation, it then transpired that the appointment again of this particular law firm was irregular. We then had to investigate, the circumstances under these irregularities occurred. Indeed, the investigation then required or warranted that a disciplinary action must be taken against the all the individuals concerned. Unfortunately, when this information was brought to attention, the CFO had already resigned. The director, Ms. Ernestine Mfetu, was still part of the institution, and she was then accordingly suspended, and was also taken through a normal disciplinary process where she was found guilty on those counts that were preferred against her. And then she then decided to challenge the outcome of the disciplinary process at the CCMA. Again, the CCMA actually made a ruling in favor of the council that the council was absolutely correct actually in having taken the decision to discipline her. So as the matter stands now, the former director then decided to take the CCMA's decision on review at the Labour Court which is sitting in Cape Town. We have already appointed a legal team to assist us in defending the matter, as we believe that we do have a defense. So I will be consulting with the legal representation, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's somewhere between I'm not sure whether it's the 20th or the 21st of November, but the first consultation will be taking place. With regard to the internal audit representative that was also responsible for all these irregularities, his company, Mora Incorporated, also took a disciplinary steps against him. And as far as I know, he was found guilty, so he's no longer part of Mora Incorporated. I think that is all what I can share with regards to that. The second question relating to that is whether or not sufficient budget has been provided for, considering that the AFS does reflect this as a contingent liability. I'm going to ask our CFO to also respond on that question. And then the third question relates to the time Ms. Ernestine White was on maternity leave, where Ms. Ramafalo was appointed to act. Indeed, honorable members, when this information of irregularity around our SCM process was brought to the council's attention, It was during the time Miss Ernestine Mfethu was pregnant, but unfortunately, when we were about to actually invite her to come and formally update the council on all these irregularities, she then decided to take I would say a premature maternity leave, because as far as we're concerned at the time, she had already indicated that she will take a maternity leave towards the end of the year. But unfortunately, when we decided to invite her, she then decided not to avail herself, saying that, look, she has decided to take maternity leave instantly. But be that as it may, we accepted that she can go on maternity leave as requested. As you are also aware that in terms of our organogram, we don't have any luxury of sufficient representation at the senior management level. We only have the director as the one warm body at that level. So in her absence, we then had to appoint the CFO to act, and she acted, if I'm not mistaken, from April of 2021 until I think May of 2022. The reason being that we only managed to appoint Ms. Nelly Mkhize as a new director, I think in May 2022, after the CCMA process was concluded, I think 6 months, five or 6 months prior to the appointment of Ms. Mkhize. The next question relates to the outsourcing of certain functions during the 2021-22 period. I'm going to ask Ms. Mafalo to respond to that. And then the second question, what led to Ms. White Mfethu's suspension, and what is the status of the matter? I think I have already covered this particular question by way of the background that I had already given. The next question was, what was the department, or why was the department not assisting with the secondment of the CEO? I think at some point, I think it was during June, indeed, we did make a submission to the department to assist with the secondment of the CEO. Unfortunately, in terms of the policy and the act, you'll recall that in terms of our approved structure, we don't have the CEO. And I was informed that the secondment of the CEO is only applicable if the structure does have a provision for the position of the CEO. And in our case, we don't have a position that is referred to as the CEO's position. We only have a director. Now, as a result of that, we were indeed assisted by the department, where we are advised to engage with the sister entity, which is in Bloemfontein. I think is the National Arts Council, to assist us with a warm body that can assist with administrative duties and responsibilities. And indeed, there was a person that was seconded to us to assist. I think she did assist us for a period of about 7 months. But again, that was at the cost of the institution. The next question, which entity the work was outsourced to? Okay, Ms. Martha Ramafalo, I'm also going to ask you to please assist with that question. The question that basically relates to the name of the entity the work was outsourced to. And then the other question, I think, related to the involvement of the artist in the acquisition of the artwork. I'm also going to ask you to respond to that. The questions posed by Honorable Denise are as follows. He basically wanted to know the fees paid, the fees as well as the breakdown thereof in writing. I'm not sure whether do we need to respond to the question now, or if we can respond in writing as requested, and I believe that we can provide the breakdown of the fees paid to the consultants that are appointed for various duties and responsibilities. And then the next question, I think, related to the budget, whether we do have a budget for litigation. Ms. Martha Ramafolo would also respond to that. And then the cost of the project manager and the cost thereof. And I think this particular appointment of a project manager, again, in terms of our structure, we don't have a position for a project manager. Now, this particular appointment of the project manager basically relates to the capital project that we have embarked upon together with the Department of DSEC. An amount of about 24 million thereabout was allocated to us, for the implementation of the HVAC system, as well as related infrastructure projects that have already been identified. So the appointment of a project manager is basically where we needed to go out on an open bidding process for the professional service providers in the form of your QS, mechanical engineering, and so forth, to come and assist us with the implementation of this particular capital project. Indeed, at this stage, an appointment of a particular entity has been made. I think the cost will be provided, but if my memory serves me well, that particular consulting firm was appointed to the value of about 3 million. The scope of work is also covered, and as far as I'm concerned, the agreement has been reached that indeed the scope of work will be executed in line with the budget that has been availed to us. I think Ms. Martha will also elaborate more on this particular project. The other question, I think, relates to the employment cost, as indicated in your presentation, that they are below 60%. And the question was whether these costs are reasonable vis-a-vis the operational costs, especially in comparison to the previous presentation by the other entity, which reflected their employment cost to be around 48%. Ms. Martha Ramatha will also respond to that. And then the questions by Honorable Adams, where she wanted to know about the strategy to attract donations, as well as the criteria used to set performance targets and the setting of the objective targets, as well as the digitization of the artwork, other than having to, rely on the website as the only source of presentation of our artwork. I think she also asked a question relating to the appointment of the project manager in relation to the HVAC implementation and related infrastructure project that I have already spoken about. With regard to the strategy to attract donations, the council is actually in the process of finalizing the strategy. But at this stage, I think it does suffice that we have been relying on MTN partnership that has been assisting us with various outreach programs that we have been implementing, as reflected in our performance report. But we are in the process of actually coming up with a strategy, not only to focus on cementing the existing relationship with MTN. I know Solplach is also one of the partners on board, but we are actually trying to reach out to as many sponsors as possible. Then the criteria used to set performance targets. Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Martha to respond to that, as well as the setting of the objective targets, as well as the digitization of the artwork, other than same being on the website. Then the next question by Honorable Sibia, she wanted to know what happened to the initial project or the cost relating to this particular project. I think she was referring to the same appointment of the project manager for the implementation of the HVAC system, as well as some infrastructure related project that I have already spoken about. And then the chairperson of the committee also spoke about the underspending. And again, I'm going to ask Ms. Ramafalo to respond to that. And then she also wanted to know whether we do have plans in place to implement financial capacity. I'm also going to ask Ms. Ramafalo to respond to that. I think that is all, Chairperson, from my side. But as indicated that the Chairperson of Audit and Risk Committee, Mr. Puti Pukuje is also present. I think he should be in a position to also come in to beef up some of the responses that I have already given. So are other council members, including the Deputy Chairperson. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. Those who refer to themselves that they must add on your responses, they must do so.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think the first one that I would like to respond on.
Did we see you, Puti?
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Yes, I wanted to add, but I can, with your permission, I can allow the CFO, then I'll just come and add at the end.
Who's this Puti? It's yourself who's speaking now.
Yes, Chairperson, it's me.
Can you show your face? Okay, you can switch off. Whenever you address us for the first time, we always want to see the face and then you can switch off. maybe we are going to say you didn't see me. I've been showing my face, but the problem of network, this is the Chairperson who asked you to show your face. I thank you. Go on, Mr. Puti.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I wanted to add on the questions by the honorable members on the increase in the use of the consultants in the year under review. So we will provide the written response as per the directives of the members, but in nutshell, we as the Audit and Risk Committee, we're very much aware of the risk that during the tenure where the CFO was also acting as the director, we will be undated with the risk of the segregation of duties, where one individual will then prepare the annual financial statement and the very same individual will then have to review. Similarly, the very same individual will then have to recommend. So there, as the Audit and Risk, we came up with a short-term mitigation such as appointment of a service provider who will then help with capacity just to prepare. So those will be some of the reasons that we will put on a paper and address it to the members of the portfolio committee. So I thought I should come in here and add. Thanks, Chair and honorable members.
Thank you. The next person to talk to us.
It's me, Mataramafalo, Chairperson. Thank you. I think one, just to add on what Puti, the Chairperson of ARC, has alluded to on the consultants. I just want to indicate also the challenges that we actually have had with the evaluation of artworks that we had. We had to actually get a consultant to come and assist with the evaluation, and it has also added on that. But other than that, more so on the questions of making a provision for the outcome of the legal proceedings regarding the previous director. we actually have not made provisions, and it's purely for the reasons that we could not actually make an estimate, and also when we have engaged with the legal representative that was working on this case, we actually could not make we could not make the possibility of us as an entity having been in with the outcome of the court being in favor of us or not. So when we were doing the financial statement, the outcome or the possible outcome of this litigation could not actually be given by the legal representative, and therefore we could actually not make an estimate of whichever outcome that it goes, how much it will cost us. And the other one on the employee cost, I just want to indicate that the reason I actually alluded to the 60% is for the reasons that the shareholders compact that was signed between the accounting authority, which is the council, and the department, and had actually mentioned that limit. However, in terms of the actual spendings of the previous year, we actually have spent 45% of the revenue that we have made. So as I have indicated also that we actually have capacity constraint issues here, and it's one of the biggest challenges that we have. Obviously, in line with the allocation that we get, we try to contain costs as much as possible. However, under the program under administration, there is the CFO's position that I actually am occupying and leading that unit. However, there is not support structure like the HR, the SC, and the finance. So I am actually compelled now and again to actually see how else should I actually find a way of support in the office. But then again, there was a question with regards to the underspending on the budget, and I think maybe background should help. But then I just need to start on the fact that before the previous year, before 2020, 2021, 2019, 2020, we did not actually get a clean audit outcome. However, when we actually reflected as to what was the reasons of us not getting a clean audit outcome, it actually has led to issues of capacity constraints, whereby we actually, as the previous, the chairperson of ARC had indicated, we had to actually get a service provider to assist in that area. But also, one thing that I need to add is for us to actually get the clean audit opinion that we got, there is actually a lot of internal control deficiencies, but more so the improvements that we are actually striving for from the previous financial 2 years is for us to actually implement controls and also policies. So I just want to indicate that it's a work in progress, but there has been improvement from the 2019-2020 financial year. And there is one that I wanted to talk to, but I think the chairperson has already made a mention, and I think sufficient mention of the project management appointment that we have just made, whereby they will actually be assisting us with the upgrading of the building. I don't know if there's anything that I have left. I know there's a couple that the chairperson said I should respond to, but I think I have lost track. Have I? Okay. And All right, one again, I think that I needed to I respond to is the type of events that we have and who are the organizers. I think on this one, the type of events that we have is the exhibitions, and the curatorial team that is under the project, collections management programs are the ones that are actually handling that one. I don't know if there is anything that I actually have not responded to, but I'll take direction from the chairperson. Thank
you. Chairperson can now give it to our department to give us some responses. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted exactly to say that, Chair, and say they must respond, the department must respond in particular around the issue of the irregularities that have been asked by the honorable members, and respond into saying how did they assist the entity in managing them. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Thank you, DM. GG.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Deputy Minister. I would allow Mr. Tsanyana to come in. Thank you.
Good morning to the DM, Minister, honorable members, and council members of the William Humphreys. I've shown my face. I'm not sure if it.
Yes. Hola,
Thank you.
netball, hola, netball, hola.
Yes, viva netball. Chairperson, I'm going to respond to the issue of the acting arrangement in public entities. From time to time, the department does get requests from public entities to assist in terms of seconding officials to assist where there are cases of maybe suspensions and sometimes resignations. Now, the first thing that we look at, we look within the department as to whether we do have a capacity to second someone to go and act in whatever position that they are requesting to be assisted on. Obviously, in the department, yes, we don't have that capacity waiting to be seconded to a public entity. Then the second option that we look at now is to look at a sister institution as to whether there can be any assistance in terms of secondment to that particular institution. And I think members would be aware that that has been done before. And in the case of William Humphrey Art Gallery, in the beginning, as it mentioned, the CFO was tasked with acting when there were issues with the director, but because of workload and also looking at the structure of William Humphreys, that there is not much people at the senior level. So the organization is pretty much, it has junior officials, and it became a challenge. When that proposal came through, we then had to liaise with one of our institutions, which is the National Museum, after we had discussed with the chair, and that then culminated to having an official from the National Museum to actually go to the William Humphrey Art Gallery to assist at that position of a director until the position was then filled by council. So we don't refuse such requests when they come from the public entities, and we always make an effort to actually deal with that to assist the institution. And I think members would be aware that the very same institution also assisted at Parkhoffs when we had such a challenge. So those are the issues of interventions that we go through in terms of assisting at management. But also when it comes to issues of disciplinary in a public entity, the department does not get too much involved with those ones, because those issues now become those of an issue of an employer-employee. We do offer advice in certain circumstances if there are issues that maybe we pick as a department which could compromise the entity and or the department if they are pursued in a particular way, but not to say that we then dictate as to what happens. It remains that arrangement that if a person is undergoing a disciplinary, it's an employer-employee matter, same as the issue of the director that was going through that disciplinary. The department was aware, same with the issue of that was mentioned before of the changing of the accounting system. The department was kept informed, but those are the issues then when it comes to disciplinary, then the entity runs with that, and in terms of their disciplinary code, then they follow processes accordingly. So I think that's where I will end, Chairperson, in terms of our response. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Spurs. Any other intake from the department?
Not really, Chair, other than really just supporting what Sbu has said, that if those matters do not affect the council, the department doesn't involve, because the council is an accounting authority of these institutions. So they've got those fiduciary duties. But if it's the council that is involved, or maybe there are problems with the council, it's then that we've got no choice but to intervene. But we do not want to interfere with work that the council is still trying to manage on its own. Thank you.
DM.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much for the responses, but also the questions that have been raised by the honorable members are clearly showing that they understand exactly what is their work in terms of doing oversight on these entities. One question that probably is not a question, but a comment that I would have loved to make to the entity is that they themselves have identified an issue of a digitized artwork that when during COVID, they could identify that there's a shortcoming there, but I didn't hear it clearly in terms of what plans that they are doing to make sure that they improve on this. Probably, Chair, as they do the written responses to the portfolio committee, they could also indicate to the portfolio committee what is it that they are putting in place to make sure that they deal with the issue of digitizing the artwork, to make sure that if another COVID comes or any other situation comes in the next life, they would be able to still do their work and serve the community that they need to do. I would love to hear them talking to that point. But besides that, Chair, I'm quite happy with how the responses have been and the questions that have been taken. At all times, the entities of the department must always remember that theirs is to help the department to foster nation building and social cohesion, and therefore make sure that at all times there will always be diversity in the nation, but ours is to make sure that there's unity in diversity. Therefore, for me, one of the areas is the fact that I know that I think this question was asked about how do you have an underspending when there would still be artists that out there that still need to have their artwork to be curated and to be, so those are the areas that we need to work on, tighten them. But for now, Chair, I think how the portfolio committee has dealt with the report and the questions, I'm quite comfortable. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, DM. In my conclusion remarks, I can say despite the capacity constraints and it being heavily dependent on the department, operational grant to function of the William Art Gallery. It has attained and get the clean audit, achieved 12 out of 13, which means it's 92% planned targets and continues to fulfill its mandate. As the committee, we want to ensure that you kept us abreast of the development, as even the M is saying, they kept us on the developments of the labor matters involving the former director of the entity, as this may have financial consequences. And then with those words, also I wanted to say that it is concerning that while WAG is the only national entity in the Northern Cape province, but it faces challenges in the relation to human resource capacity, which is a risk to the entity ability to function optimally. But as we are closing this day of this discussion, we are happy. We're always going to do our oversight to the department, and also each department will do so to you. But coming to the end of the meeting, we are hoping that any gaps, any outstanding questions, you can write and forward to our secretariat. Let me take this opportunity to thank, starting from our department minister, deputy minister, and to our guest of today, not forgetting to say thank you, honorable members. I've always wanted to thank you and always appreciating that you take Friday as a working day, whilst we know that there are so many things that members can think that, no, it's Friday, let's not attend the committee meeting, let's do our work in our constituents. But the respect that you are giving this committee, because it's your committee, I do appreciate it as a chairperson. Chairperson of the entity, now I'm closing this meeting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chairperson. And thank you so much to the Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister. My gratitude also go to the DG, as well as all the officials within DSEC for their support, and indeed with the guidance that we got from the honorable committee members. It does make one feel proud that we do have a parliament that is functional. It does again give me a great pleasure to realize that committee members do understand their work, and in doing so, they give us comfort that we need to go out there and ensure that all these entities that we are managing are being managed in line with the applicable laws and legislations. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody. The meeting is adjourned. I thank you to everybody.
Thank you.